Okay, great. طيب يلا let's start. Bismillah. I'm just gonna close everything else. And thank you for posting that on Messenger as well. طيب, you seem to be fond of commas. You love using commas all the time. This is the first thing that I noticed in your writing.
Yeah.
And let me just share the just the file with you. I just changed the font a little bit and I made it a little bit larger so that you and me can see it together. Okay, let me just make this a little bit clearer. And do you remember which book or which which book did you get this question from?
Yeah, it's task 5 on the 12th edition Cambridge book.
Okay, the usual Cambridge books. Yeah, they're good ones.
Yeah.
You know, actually, for quite some time, I thought they are like real tests, but it turned out to be that they're not, and they're just trial tests that look similar. Okay, we will start by reading the question first. This is task 2, academic writing. You should spend 40 minutes, about 40 minutes on this task. Some people believe that it is good to share as much information as possible in scientific research, business, and the academic world. Others believe that some information is too important or too valuable to be shared freely. Okay, discuss both these views and give your opinion or your own opinion. Now, as you can see, as usual, they give you like two different possibilities, two different opinions. None of them is considered 100% right, and then you have to argue. Now here, the difficulty here is that we have to discuss both views. It's not like do you agree or disagree. Okay, let's welcome Ghaida. Nice name, Ghaida. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, how are you today? Okay.
Fine, fine.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. I'm just trying to admit everyone. So Noor, mashallah, her English level is amazing, mashallah. But you want to get rid a little bit of the Jordanian accent in your English and you will be just fine. Okay. And so here are two opinions that we have to discuss. We have to wait a little bit because more people are getting in. I'm sorry, Noor, about that, but we have to, you know, admit everyone here. Okay. So we have Qusay. Good evening, Qusay. We have Duha as well. Have I missed anyone? No, I haven't. Okay, great. Type 250 words. And how many words have you written here? It should show here in the words count. Okay, let me see.
I think around 400.
Wow, okay, that's a lot, yeah. To be on the safe side, I always suggest between 250 and 300 max. There is no rule that says if you put more than that you will lose marks. Yeah, I haven't read anywhere that there is a rule on that, but if you manage to write 400 words in 40 minutes, that's great. That's really good. Right, now, let's first, I'm just going first to go through the grammatical mistakes, if there were any, and there are actually few, and also punctuation marks, any kind of, you know, language mistakes, whatever. And then we will get to the ideas, the organization, coherence, cohesion, and all that, okay? Right. Now, at the beginning here, as I can see here, it is believed by some that information should be shared, whether they are as advanced as scientific findings, meeting proceedings, business strategies, or as simple as study material prepared for school and university students. Okay. Now, this is rather a very long sentence. Now, I always tell my students, if you are not the famous author Henry James, do not write too long sentences. So this is too long, and the longer the sentence is, the more mistakes we make. Now, just to begin with, okay, let me just admit everyone else. So I'm just going to highlight the ones that are wrong. Now, every time you put a comma, you have to be careful. I want you just first to tell me, when do we use a comma, as far as you know, because I want to check your understanding of it, Yanur.
Okay, I think when we finish a small idea, that is a part of a full idea.
Okay.
So,
okay, so a small idea, then if I want to start a new idea, you mean like, or Or can you say it in Arabic?
اوكي كل جزء من فكرة لازم ينفصل بين كوماز، والفكرة الكبيرة بتنفصل عن الفكرة الكبيرة الثانية by a full stop أو a new paragraph.
Okay, all right. So you're doing this based on ideas. Okay. The rule is a comma cannot replace a full stop. It does not end a sentence. It does not start a sentence after that. This is the rule. Again, a comma is not used to separate full sentences. Okay, this is number one. And number two. Now here, if we use that, if we have like that, where, which, when, if, whatever, I do not precede, and I do not write it in front of these words, like WH words and linkers, whatever. So we do not use it before that. When do I use a comma? A comma is used to separate what we call a dependent clause from an independent clause. Now, let me just explain this in a minute, because it's extremely important in writing. Are you all following up with me, guys? Okay, let me hear. I want to hear their voices. They're rather quiet. Okay, as usual.
Good evening, Mr. Rich.
Good evening. Yeah, who is that? Qusay? Good evening. Abdurrahman. Hi, Abdurrahman. How are you? Okay.
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. So, for example, if I want, what is a dependent clause? A dependent clause mainly, just to explain it very simply, it's a sentence that can stand alone. Okay, it's a meaningful sentence. You can take it out and put it by itself in a place. For example, if I say, I'll just give you a very simple example. If you play with me, I'll give you some money. Okay, this is one sentence. Now let's reverse it. Okay, I'm just going to reverse it. I'm going to write it in a different color. Okay, I'll give you, what am I going to do now? What change can I do now? I'll give you some money.
The position of comma?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to remove the comma. Excellent. Yes. I'll give you some money if you play with me. I always use this silly sentence with my students. I don't know why, but it just, okay. So let's have a look at this one. So what happened here? Now this is called what? A dependent clause. Okay. What's the meaning of clause? Clause is any a group of words that has a verb in it. Okay, so anything that has a verb in it is called a clause. All right, اتفقنا على هيك. هلا dependent, what does it mean that dependent? When I say depend on, can it stand alone? No, it cannot.
Yes.
It cannot stand alone because it is dependent. تعتمد على, right? So it cannot stand. So for example, if I tell you, if you play with me and then I stop, do you think that the meaning that I gave you is full? Yeah, exactly. There's something missing, right? So I have to finish. Yeah, so I have to finish. Sorry, again, yes, Abdurrahman.
I said it. It's need another sentence to be to give full meaning.
Absolutely, yeah. There's something missing. If I stop here, there's something missing, and that's why we call it a dependent clause. So I'm just going to write it there. This is important in punctuation, okay? Now this is the dependent clause here. All right. Now how about the next part? If I say, I'll give you some money, is this a full sentence that can stand alone? What do you think? I will give you some money. What do you think?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nothing is missing. Okay. Now I'll tell you why am I doing all of this. All right, so I'm just trying to pick up another color. Okay, so this is what? An independent clause, right? What's the meaning of independent? Independent.
Can stand alone.
Exactly. Thank you so much. An independent clause is like a group of words that has, it's a group that has a verb in it, which is give or will give together. If you want to consider it as a verb phrase, sorry. So this is independent, can stand alone. It's a full sentence, actually. Now, the law or the rule, sorry, says what? If you start with the dependent clause, you must put a comma. If you start with an independent clause, look at what I did here. You don't need a comma at all. And this is the same thing that Noor did in the text. Let's go back to the text again. Yani this is my rule. This is the rule that I should follow when I'm using commas with these words. So here, that information should be shared. Okay, it is believed by some that information should be shared. Okay. So here I cannot just put a comma here, and before that I cannot do that at all. Okay, here whether they are as advanced as scientific findings, meeting preceding business strategies, you can see too many commas. So what is the best solution, Noor? Because you know what to do here. What's the best solution when I have a too long sentence and too many commas that are not necessary?
I would use linking words.
One way, yes, or even easier, cut it into
Two
short
sentences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With two commas or with two full stop.
Yeah, we can use a full stop to separate sentences, but we can also use something else. What is that? What is another punctuation mark that can actually replace a full stop?
Connection. Connectors.
Not at the, sorry, again?
Connectors.
No, what is, again, the question, what is a punctuation mark that I can use to replace a full stop in many cases, except at the end of the paragraph? Okay, just to have an exception. It is a semicolon, guys, okay? Have you ever seen this before? فاصلة المنقوطة?
Yeah.
Okay. So when do I use a semicolon? Basically, if I have two sentences and they are really strongly connected to each other, يعني في علاقة, right? في رابط بينهم. يعني one is, for example, step 1 and the other step 2. One is cause, the other is effect. One is, for example, yeah, things like that. So if they are strongly connected, I use what? I can use a semicolon. All right, so this is a rule. So instead of using full stops all the time, I can simply use semicolons to attract the attention of the reader, telling him, okay, pay attention. These two sentences are connected. They have a strong connection. So it's better to relate them to each other or read them closely or read them together. So this is the usage of semicolons, okay? And why am I going to use semicolon in IELTS tests? Because they are looking actually for how many punctuation marks and the variety of punctuation marks you're using in writing. Okay? يعني بدهم يشوفوا, they want to see you using colons, اللي هم, you know, the colons, the two dots, okay? They want to see you using the semicolon. They want you to use, to see you using commas and full stop, of course. Most of us use full stops only, right? Hardly any commas. Okay. All right. Now, it is believed by, now you started directly, and this is one of the good ways to start your topic. There's the easiest way to start is called the funnel approach. Do you know what a funnel is? What do we use a funnel for? لما تشتروا زيت and you want to pour oil in a smaller bottle, you use a funnel. شو بنقول بالعربي إحنا؟ الفنل. القمع, yes, thank you, yes. Exactly. So the funnel approach, it means you start generally and you narrow down. At the end of the introduction, you get to the point. This is the easiest way, guys. For example, if I want to talk about pizza, pizza, for instance, how would I start using the funnel approach? Starting generally, what would I say?
I would start by calling it a dough.
This is again the ingredients of the
mainly of flour.
No, you're talking about the ingredients of it. Now I'm talking about pizza. I want to go out a little bit, out of the circle of the pizza and start generally. Okay. What would I say?
A type of food?
Start with
a type of food.
Yes, related.
You can talk about Italian food, for example. You can talk about cuisines all over the world, right? Cuisines, اللي هي cooking styles and cooking, cooking styles all around, for example, the globe. Or you can talk about there are lots of famous Italian recipes. This includes pasta, pizza, blah, blah, blah. And then you narrow it down to talk about pizza in specific, okay? All right, if you want to talk about football, for instance, as a sport, how would you start generally? Sports in general, yes, very good, yeah, you're right. So you can talk about sports in general. You can talk about history of, different kinds of sports or how it started a long time ago. And then you go straight, you end up by, specifying that The topic we're going to talk about today is football in specific. So what
Something
you
like
started with
literature
is
review.
correct. Sorry, again?
Something like a literature review.
Yeah, you can say that. Now, this is one way of writing. It's not the only correct way, so you need to pay attention to that. هاي مش الطريقة الوحيدة الصح. And I'm just giving you one simple way. This is actually probably the most or the easiest way to begin. But here you started nicely. It is believed by some that information should be shared, whether they are as advanced as scientific findings, meeting proceeding strategies, or as simple as studying. Now, شايفة يعني too many commas. I lost actually the idea here. So if you can cut it, it would be even easier for the reader to follow up with you. Or simple as study material prepared for school and university students. Now the comparison between as, advanced and as simple, this is very nice and very good as an introduction. So here you presented what the first point of view, saying that some people believe that it should be shared. Yet here, now we use linking word here because you're going to introduce something different. And here you used it correctly. So we use after linking words in general, I said not all the time, but in general we use commas after linking words. Some see those resources valuable for authors and should not be distributed free of charge. Now the rule for using a comma before and is as follows. If the sentence after and is a full sentence and can stand alone, you can use a comma. If not, you shouldn't use a comma. Now here, can I say should not be distributed free of charge? Is this a full sentence? What do you think, Noor? Should not be distributed free of charge. There's something.
I think it's a complete sentence.
Actually, the subject is.
The subject is missing, but it's understood. I don't think it's.
Okay, if I connect it to the previous sentence, yes, but I'm talking about only this part. If I take this part only, I read it separately, okay, there's something missing. So this is not a full sentence, which means what? I should not use a comma here. So I'm just going to remove the comma. Okay, هاي القاعدة بس. But if it's a full sentence, for example, and it should not be distributed free of charge. If I said it, خلاص, you can put the comma, okay? You either remove the comma or add it. Yani that's it, okay? Free of charge. All right. In my opinion, here also use the comma, which is good. This is correct. In my opinion, some restrictions should be implemented to protect the author's rights. Okay, author's rights. Are you talking about the rights of the authors here? You are, right?
Okay. Yes, I forgot the apostrophe at the end of that.
Exactly. Is it one author or two authors or more than one?
No, I mean all of the authors, many of authors, of course.
Exactly. So
But
okay. I was just asking about the apostrophe position. That's it. Sorry. Excuse me. Just I forgot to attach my charger and my laptop is running low. The battery is low. So just give me 1 minute. I'm gonna get it. Okay, sorry. Type, let's proceed with this one. Those resources be valuable for authors and should not be distributed free of charge. Okay, now here you made like a fatal mistake. Okay. Here you are focusing all the time. This is what I noticed. Like you're focusing on the issue of money. Now, I mean, during the whole essay, you are talking about why we should charge money. You're talking about dollars here, how many approximately. You're even presenting a study or like, for example, an assumption that it might cost this or that. So you're talking about money mainly, right?
Yes.
But if you go back to the question, now that's my, look at the question. What does it say here? To be shared freely. What's the difference between saying shared freely or shared free of charge? There's a huge difference.
Oh, okay.
Okay, if you read the question again, can you tell me what you think? Changing the meaning.
I only covered the money aspect, but shared freely it means يعني for all of people, no matter what.
Exactly.
I
So
think
it
that's
could be
the meaning
money,
they
maybe,
express.
in one point, yes, it could be the money, but this is not the only one. All right. So this is like, I think this is one of the crucial points that might affect your mark, although your essay is really good and there are very minimal mistakes, like this one only, for example, and a few mistakes here and there. You can actually still get 9, even with very few mistakes. Okay, they call it a slip. It's just it was done by you by mistake, not because you don't know the language, but because you just didn't pay attention to that. Okay, right, so benefiting from the work without hindering the help needed for other individuals. Okay, in my opinion, some restrictions should be implemented to protect the author's rights of benefiting from the work without hindering. Now here, there's again no need for the comma. You see, even I have to read again the sentence once, twice, sometimes 3 times to try to grasp, because the minute I reach the end of the sentence, I forget what the beginning was. So this might be a little bit, this might affect your marks. So try to make your sentences a little bit shorter, that's it. But the language is nice, you're using very nice and big words. So instead of saying prohibiting or stopping, you're using hindering. So you're using different words here and there. Okay, again here, notice you left an indentation, which is good. Starting with academia. Now here you're talking about whether it is an academia thing or whether it's a scientific research. So here you're talking about some teachers are professors, here I think you mean and professors, right? Can you read this a little bit again and see?
I mean, and.
Yeah, exactly. I thought so, yeah. Okay, so some teachers, and now this is why we should read our text again. It helps a lot. So this is a very important thing in IELTS writing. Always keep 5 minutes to read your texts at the end, because you will definitely find mistakes. Very silly mistakes, because you're writing and focusing on the idea, and you're not paying attention to the teeny-weeny, mistakes that you make here and there. So yet this can pose tremendous, okay, so starting with academia, some teachers and professors may be reluctant, but they prepare slides or handouts to provide their, okay, you mean provide for students, right?
Yes, for students.
Okay, so here provide, it's, now there are verbs that require an object, اللي هو مفعول به, and there are verbs that are okay without having an object. This one needs an object. So you should say to provide, for example, handouts to their students or whatever. Okay, so you need to say, who is it provided for? Okay, now here, or handouts to encourage students. Again, prepositions. You're fond of putting commas before prepositions, and there is absolutely no need. Okay, if you want to make it a little bit shorter, look what I'm gonna do now. I added a semicolon, and then I can say that is because, or for example, they wanted, or they want to encourage students to search for information needed. You see what I did here? I cut your sentence into 2 shorter sentences, acceptable. I didn't change anything. And I just wrote that is because, and I started what? A full sentence after a semicolon. And why did I put a semicolon here?
2 sentences are strongly related to each other.
Yeah, because they're strongly related. So I want to point this out for the reader. Reader, pay attention. These 2 are related to each other. Okay, excellent. Now yet, this can, now used yet again here. Now this is not wrong. And using yet twice in a text is okay. But what can I say instead of saying yet?
Although, or on the other side.
Oh, in the other side, okay, this can. Not anything other than that, without trying, without changing the whole sentence.
Although.
Although you still have to change the sentence structure. يعني تخيلي بالامتحان, you are in the test, you don't want to do any big changes in the sentence, right? So what would you do here?
Mr. Reed.
Yes, Abdurrahman.
I think we can replace it by thus or sequentially.
Okay, thus it means وهكذا. Consequently, it means نتيجة لذلك. Okay, so but you are actually presenting a different idea, right? Or something like interrupting, something negative coming next. So what would you say?
I think you can use however.
However, yeah, you can say that. Thank you, Qusay. Another word. Can I say on the other hand?
But
If you want to say but, you cannot start the sentence. You have to be careful in starting the sentence. Because again, it's going to change. You can say on the other hand as well. You can say on the other hand. Or as however is a very good word. Okay, so it is not, again, it's not wrong to use yet again, but it's better not to repeat any words. So I'm using a lot of linking words. I'm showing the examiner that I have a variety of vocabulary words and I'm using different linking words. And I know everything about writing an essay nicely and correctly. Okay, let's proceed now. Let's continue. Yet, or however, this can pose tremendous hardships on student. Here, can you correct this because you know how to correct this?
it's a student, so it's a plural. So I will add an
On students or on a student. Yeah, okay, excellent. So yet this can pose tremendous hardships on students, assuming that, again, we don't need a comma here, assuming that they will have at least 4 or 5 courses per term. Okay, again, so you think that this is going to be difficult for them because they have lots of subjects or courses to cover up this semester. Okay, this issue can be easily solved by providing at least a guideline for students to follow. Okay, a guideline for what? Can you help me with that?
Okay, for studying materials.
Okay, so you need to clarify what guideline is this. So I'm just going to put here, okay, clarify. When I'm typing and talking, I make mistakes, so please pay attention to my typing. Okay, again, to clarify, okay, so for students to follow. All right, excellent. Moving to the scientific research. Now you see you divided it into 2 parts, which is good. But I would rather, because as we see here, you wrote over 400 words, right? It's 420 words here, actually. So this is too much. I would rather put it all in one paragraph and move to the next part. That is, what if we give it freely, or just give it away, or hand it out to everyone? So I discuss on one hand what happens if we don't, and what happens in the second paragraph, what happens if we do, because it will actually be enough. And then you end up with a conclusion and you are within the limit of 250, 300. I'll have to mute you, sorry, because, yeah, okay. You have muted yourself, great. Okay, again, so again, you used yet again, one more time. You love it, right? You love yet and the commas. Okay, now I know what you like. Okay, so usually only an abstract, yet usually only an abstract will be provided. Okay, other researchers will have to pay to get the full paper involving the detailed methods, results, and conclusions. Okay, what do you mean by methods here? Again, you missed something here. What methods are you talking about?
Okay, usually in the scientific research, we divide the paper to methods, section, results, and conclusions. So methods are the way a research was conducted
Okay, so
and the data was collected.
Research methods. Okay, to detailed research methods. It's just to clarify, that's it. Because when you say methods, what methods are you talking about? Okay, got it? It's not clear enough for the reader, especially if he is or she's unfamiliar with how researches are made. That's it. So I just need to bear in mind that when I'm writing, like any standard or average, let's say citizen or whatever, would be able to understand my writing. So, okay, here you're talking again about the money and all these things. Those payments will be divided between. Now here, this was actually used probably in an inaccurate way. I'm not going to say wrong, but inaccurate. Those payments will be divided between authors and journals, which is important. You mean, are you talking about subscription fees? Are you talking about what here? But what kind of payments are they?
The payments that are done to buy a scientific paper.
Okay, to get the full paper. All right. Are they going to be divided equally, or because when I say divided, it means like it's cut into 2 halves. in most of the time.
Yeah. It depends on the journal itself, so it could be divided or not.
What's a better way to, a better word, sorry, to use instead of divided?
Given to authors and journals.
Shared, I could say, like it would be shared between the authors, for example, and the journal, or the journals, or whatever. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so those will be shared between authors and journals, which is important in order to support the lab or research center as well as the journal. Look how many commas again, a very long sentence. Try to cut these, okay? So you just need to cut this again because it looks like a run-on sentence with the commas in wrong places. Generally, which as well, just like that, you do not you don't put a comma unless it is what do we call it? It's like a positive clause. يعني زي تقريبا بالعربي بنسميها الجملة المعترضة. يعني and this is not يعني it's not like that. You can actually remove all these commas and just finish the sentence fully and normally. Now here you use but at the same time. Okay, this is good. This is correct. Those fees will pose a challenge. Okay. Now here those will pose a challenge to new researchers as in graduate students. Okay. All right. Now, as in, okay, are you sure about using it correctly? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I used them as an example. So
okay. Yeah, correct.
I think we can use it like this.
As in, I've never used it with human beings after that. I've seen it once maybe like that, but I'm not sure about that. I'm telling you what I have come across only, and it does not mean that what you're writing is correct, but I'm just making sure that you know that this is correct. So I'm not sure. Okay. All right. So here, since students are required, okay, to write a full thesis, citing at least 100 references, and assuming an average buying a paper costs, this step alone will cost hundreds of, if not thousands of dollars, which you see how long your sentences are? I'm confused now. Like when I'm reading, I forgot what or how you started or what were you talking about at the beginning. Okay, so you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I can split it at the beginning of the sentence and assuming an average paper.
Yeah, just
so I would remove and start assuming an average.
Okay, it's too long and it confuses the reader. So just make your sentences shorter. And this is probably one of the major issues that if you solve, you're gonna your writing is very, very good actually, but you just need to make it more simple when it comes to the length of sentences. So just make them shorter. So I believe that some restrictions are in order to help support. Okay. What do you mean are in order to help support the scientific research? What do you mean by that? Because I removed the comma, it's incorrect here.
It means that we need to do those restrictions to help them.
So because, it means because here, right?
Yeah, because.
Okay, so we have to remove the comma then. So I believe that some restrictions are in order to help, okay. You have to say some restrictions are made or are put or are assigned in order to help support. Okay, so you need a missing verb here. Got it? That's why I got confused. In order to help support the scientific research, but some considerations should also be taken into account, okay, to help new researchers. Some considerations should be, okay. Notice here what you did. You put a comma before but. Remember what I told you about and?
Yeah.
That if this is a full sentence, you can put a comma. This is correct, yeah. Some considerations should also be taken into account. Okay, now I know into account, but into account it's correct also to help researchers. Okay, great. Now here you ended up with saying finally, sharing information in the business sector can cost companies a huge amount of money and can help other competing companies if those plans were freely accessible. Okay. Okay, a relevant solution to this problem is to take in trainees and sign a contract to ensure the privacy and security of information. Okay, now you can say privacy security. There's a better word to use here. What is this? I think you know the word confidentiality.
Confidentiality.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but confidential, يعني سري. So that's a better word to use here. Again, you're using commas again, so cut your sentences. This is the most important thing because you're making too long sentences. Hala, this is all nice. In conclusion, you ended up with a conclusion. You started an introduction. You discussed 2 points or 3 points. You talked about the money. But the only mistake is that what? You did not actually talk about the يعني imbalance about the 2 points, whether we should give freely or we should restrict these or this data, for example, or information because it is too valuable. So too valuable doesn't necessarily mean money-wise, as we said before. So you missed the whole point of what? Why shouldn't we share the information? Again, as you found out, and we found it out together, is that when we talk about freely, it's not only the money, it is something else. So what happens if I share, now this question is for everyone as well. What happens if I, or why would some researchers and scientists prevent others or, keep their information or their research inaccessible to everyone? What would the reason be for that? There are many reasons.
Okay, I would think scientists will not share their information because they need it for future researchers as well. So if I found some type of, or if I discovered something new, I want to build on it. So I won't share the information. So
Okay, this is
will
one.
not continue from my discovery.
Yeah, that's because you want to protect your, for example, your discovery or whatever until you just make sure that everything is fine, and then you can actually announce it and it's scientifically proven and all that. This is one reason. What are other reasons? Yeah, I think I'm just going to ask the others as well. What kind of reasons would prevent scientists from spreading news or spreading information, discovery, research, and make it available to anyone and everyone? Think about explosives, for example.
I think using with the wrong way.
Okay, that's misusing information, right?
Yeah.
Okay, like if everyone, just imagine, everyone has the access on how to build a bomb or how to poison, people randomly, or if they have access to very, very harmful chemicals, what would happen? Now, this is what actually the topic is about. Why some people would just, prevent others from accessing all that kind of information.
I think we're talking about security, privacy, copyrights, intellectual property, so many
everything. Yeah, actually, yeah, everything. Safety is one of the most important things as well. This is the first thing that comes to my mind. Like, imagine if anyone can learn how to make a bomb or like a big explosive, thing that would just kill so many people. Or what if some information is classified? Like, what if information is, let's talk about scientific research, business, okay, academic world, whatever. If this has to do with the country's security, as you said, because Qusay mentioned something important, security and safety of a certain country. Don't they always make their research, especially about weapons and even sometimes medicine and all these things, don't they always make it classified? Yani, like confidential and all that? So this is one of the this is one of the things that we can actually argue against, having a free access for everyone for anything and all the information possible. Okay, if I want to argue against that, what would I say? What examples can I bring, to support my argument with? Like, I want everyone to be, to be able to obtain that knowledge, sorry.
Maybe if I want to protect against those explosive you said, or with discoveries that may be harmful, other researchers might need to know about them to discover a new method for protection, for example.
Yeah, exactly. What is one of the most famous examples that are like actually that nobody can argue with? Like it happened 2 years ago. Remember what happened in the city, the Chinese city of Wuhan? Did I pronounce the name correctly? Where the COVID-19 started, or the outbreak actually, and patient zero were in that city, right? What did the government do at that time, the Chinese government? Or what, this is what people say. We're not sure, actually.
They didn't actually tell the WHO or CDC about the virus. So
They kept it
this
secret.
caused a delay in production of vaccines and medications.